Well, 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 it's a sad day indeed for global warming alarmists across the world today. You'll remember this story, which came out in 2007. Bears stranded as ice melts away. And of course, we were bombarded at the time by this image of polar bears supposedly stranded on ice, unable to get to safety because the polar ice caps are melting. Now, of course, it later came out that this was a complete hoax, but that didn't stop Al Gore in his Inconvenient Truth film from putting in this ridiculous graphic cartoon video about this polar bear trying to find its way to safety to a piece of ice that hasn't melted. And of course it came out that the people that actually took the original photograph, which became the poster child of the global warming movement, took the photograph in August when ice naturally melts. Of course, they said the polar bears weren't in trouble. At no point were they in any danger. There was ice off to the side. This was just focused on one specific spot, and if you zoomed out you could see that all the polar bears were safely on the ice sheets that were still there. But then the Associated Press came out, and you can watch this video, another global warming hoax exposed, which documents this. The Associated Press took the photograph. 2.5 years later, they put it out and said it was evidence that global warming was killing polar bears. Coincidentally, on the same day that the United Nations came out with its UN IPCC big global warming propaganda campaign. And of course, on top of all this is the fact that, yes indeed, polar bears can swim. They're the strongest, some of the strongest mammal swimmers on the planet. So that turned out to be a complete hoax. Of course, polar bear populations, there you see it in Reuters, help fight global warming, and there's a picture of a baby polar bear. Again, complete absolute BS. Polar bear numbers, there are more polar bears now than there were 30 years ago. Their population is booming. Literally explosions of polar bears everywhere, almost like a parasite. But still we have this ridiculous claim, and Al Gore says that this photo was proof that they were disappearing off the face of the earth, and that's why he put this ridiculous video in his Inconvenient Truth documentary for emotional manipulation purposes. Again, this was the photo, this was the poster child that launched the global warming movement. Well, today it turns out that federal biologists whose observation that polar bears likely drowned in the Arctic helped galvanize the global warming movement 7 years ago was placed on administrative leave as officials investigate scientific misconduct allegations. While it wasn't clear what the exact allegations are, the government watchdog group representing Anchorage-based scientist Charles Monnet said investigators focused on his 2004 journal article about the bears that garnered worldwide attention. So this federal government scientist has basically been fired, told to leave by the Obama administration. He's under investigation for scientific misconduct relating to this polar bear research, because of course, as is explained in James Dellingpole's article today, Polarbeargate, which is what this scandal could turn out to be. 2009 was of course Climategate. 2011 could mark the beginning of Polarbeargate. And as Dellingpole points out in this article, the actual initial study which led to this claim that polar bears were being killed as a result of global warming was based on the fact that a storm had killed a few polar bears in one area back in 2004, and these researchers did an overflight of the area and saw 3 or 4 dead polar bears floating in the water. So they concluded that the storm had exacerbated the fact that they couldn't find ice sheets that hadn't melted because they were exhausted and couldn't swim properly as a result of this storm. Of course, again, turned out to be complete BS. There were no drowned polar bears in the years after, and the research behind the claim completely evaporated. So now we've got one of the researchers, the head researchers who came out with that claim, which then became the basis of the global warming emotional manipulation poster child, which was this image, being told to leave by the federal government as they investigate scientific misconduct. And as Dellingpole points out in his article, which I suggest you read, the fact that he's been fired by the Obama administration, who of course would normally welcome scientists who put out emotional global warming propaganda because it's in line with the White House science czar John P. Holdren's overpopulation, depopulation, eugenics agenda. In this instance, they've fired him, which comes as a surprise if it's merely related to this polar bear issue. So as Dellingpole and others, including Anthony Watts at What's Up With That website, suggest that the misconduct goes a heck of a lot deeper, and this could be an example of them burning one of the underlings to protect a wider scandal, which could really strike at the heart of this discredited global warming movement. So you have that news. Of course, in addition, today we have Forbes magazine reporting new NASA data blows gaping hole in global warming alarmism. And this is a new study that indicates, quote, far less future global warming will occur than United Nations computer models have predicted, and supports prior studies indicating increases in atmospheric carbon dioxide trap far less heat than alarmists have claimed. So again, you had Climategate in 2009. Could this be Polargate? Could we have the global warming, the discredited anthropogenic climate change movement completely discredited for good? But my fear in all this is that it's a distraction from the species that is really threatened by global warming, and that's penguins. Now, there's no actual evidence to back up that claim, but I thought, you know, if it's good enough for Al Gore to show a fake polar bear cartoon and present it as proof that global warming is killing polar bears, even as their numbers increase every year, then it's good enough for me. So here's my evidence that global warming is killing penguins. Now look at the sad penguin. His mommy and daddy have just drowned because the South Pole has melted. Look how sad he is. He's just lost his mummy and daddy because they couldn't find an ice sheet because the ice caps have completely melted and drained away. And this is literally how stupid Al Gore thinks we all are. This is the propaganda that he presented as evidence that global warming was killing polar bears. But I mean, look how sad the penguin is. And that proves it, folks. I mean, that's the evidence right there. Global warming is killing penguins. They're going to disappear off the face of the earth. And here's the proof. Look how sad he is. There's the proof right there. You know, better pay those carbon taxes directly to Al Gore and the Rothschilds, or this cute little penguin's going to die. Better stop having children, because overpopulation is the new rebrand for the debunked global warming movement. Come on, folks, get behind this campaign. Better stop having any kind of decent living standard. Global warming is killing the penguins. Better pay those carbon credits to Al Gore and the Rothschilds, or baby penguin gonna die.